Hello viewers, today we are going to talk about transportation and game theory, graphical solution of game. The graphical solution in this lecture, we will talk about how we can solve a game of order 2 cross n or m cross 2. So the graphical solution is suitable for games in which at least one player has exactly two pure strategies. The game which has 2 cross n or m cross 2 order matrix can be solved by this method, in which matrix is reduced to 2 cross 2 V. Further, 2 cross 2 matrix game can be solved by the method discussed in previous lecture, previous video lecture, that is lecture on game theory. You can check how we can solve a game of order 2 cross 2. So let us discuss one example. Solve the game 2 cross of order 2 cross 4 graphically. The matrix is 1, 0, 4, -1, -1, 1, -2, 5. So the payoff matrix of 2 cross 4 game is, so these are the strategies for player A. That is one strategy 1 and 2. And we have 4 strategies for one, two, 3, and 4 for player B. So the values are 1, 0, 4, -1, -1, 1, -2, and 5. Let the player A plays strategy 1 with probability P1 and strategy 2 with probability P2. So the player A plays this first strategy with probability P1 and second with probability P2. In some books, there are the player A plays first strategy with probability P and second with 1 minus P, or sometimes they write Q. So P plus 1 minus P, because we know that P1 plus P2 that is equal to 1. So whether you go with P1 and P2 or P and 1 minus P. So P plus 1 minus P, that is also equal to sum is also equal to. So you can go with either P1 or P2 or P and 1 minus P. In this video lecture, I use P1 and P2 instead of P and 1 minus P. Thus, the expected gain of player A is given in the payoff as follows. B's strategy A's expected value. Expected value. So we have strategies. How many strategies we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have strategies 1, 2, 3, and 4. So A's expected value is 1 into P1, 1 into P1. When B plays with strategy 1, then A's expected value is 1 into P1 plus -1 into P2. That is equal to P1 minus P2. When B plays the game with strategy 2, then A's expected value is 0 into P1, 0 into P1, 0 into P1 plus 1 into P2, 1 into P2, that is equal to P2. When B plays with strategy 3, then A's expected value is 4 into P1, 4 into P1 plus minus 2 into P2, that is equal to 4P1 minus 2P2. When B plays with strategy 4, then A's expected value is minus 1 into P1 plus 5 into P2, that is equal to minus P1 plus 5P2. The player A will select the value of P1 and P2 so as to maximize his minimum expected gain. This can be done by plotting the straight line. Can be done by plotting the straight line. So let this be P1 and this be P2. Let this be P1 and P2. The distance between P1 and P2 to be 1, because P1 plus P2, sum of P1 and P2, that is equal to 1. So this is 0. P2 equal to 0. So minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 2. So now how we can make the straight lines? So first we have 1 P1 minus 1 P2. So 1 P1. This is 1 P1 and minus 1 P2. This is minus 1. So now we can make a straight line. Now second we have 0 P1 plus 1 P2. 0 P1 and 1 P2. So this is 1 P2. So we can join 0. The third we have 4 P1 minus 2 P2. 4 P1. So we have this point and minus 2 this one. So 4 P1 minus 2 P2. And last one we have minus 1 P1. This is minus 1 and 5 P2. This is 5 P2. So minus 1. So we can write the equation of this line minus 1 P1 plus 5 P2. This is 4 P1 minus 2 P2. This is 0 P1 plus P2, 1 P2, and this line is 1 P1 plus minus 1 P2. So because we have to maximize the minimum expected gain. So we have to maximize the minimum expected gain. So this is the minimum part. This is the minimum part. We have to find the maximum of this minimum. So we have 4 corner points. One is this. Second is this. Third one is this. Fourth one is this. And fifth one is. So this is a convex region. This is a convex region. Now, in this point gives us the maximum. If we have A, B, C, D, and E region. So A, B, C, D, E. C gives the maximum, right? So C is the maximum. C maximizes his minimum expected gain. Right? So now the intersection of, we get C point by intersecting two lines. Which two lines? One is 1 P1 minus this line, 1 P1 minus 1 P2, and second is 0 P1 plus 1 P2. So we have 1 P1 minus 1 P2 is equal to 0 P1 plus P2. When we equate both of them, we get P1 minus P2 is equal to P2, or P1 is equal to 2P2. So this is one equation we get. Now we know that, since we know that P1 plus P2 equal to 1 and P1 equal to 2P2, so we can use P1 to be equal to 2P2 plus P2 equal to 1. 3P2 is equal to 1, so we get P2 is equal to 1 upon 3. If P2 is 1 upon 3, then P1 is equal to 2 upon 3. We put value of P2 in this equation star, and we get, now P1 plus P2 equal to what? 2 by 3 plus 1 by 3, that is equal to 1. Since the best strategy or we find the value of P1 and P2 by using this method, or we can also solve this by using 2 cross 2 game. How we can use previous method? Let us write this. Since, or we can say, since the best strategy for player B are those which passes through point C. Thus, the game reduces to two cross two payoff. That is, we have two cross two game. First strategy, second strategy. Now, because C point, we get C point by these two equations. Which are those equations? This first one, P1 minus P2, and second. So we also use strategy 1 and 2. So we write for player A, we have two strategy, and for player B, the best strategies are also 1 and 2. Now the matrix reduces to, this is our actual matrix. Now the best strategy for player B are 1 and 2, and player A already have two strategies 1 and 2. So the matrix reduces to 1, 0, minus 1, 1. Or we can also write the coefficient of P1, P2 from here. 1, minus 1, 0, 1. So we can write 1, minus 1, 0, 1. So you can, if player A plays with probability, plays strategy 1 with probability P1 and strategy 2 with probability P2, then we can also find the value of P1 and P2. 1 minus or minus 1, we take the difference, modulus, absolute value, absolute difference, 1 minus minus 1, 1 minus minus 1, that is equal to, so we write 2 here. Similarly, 0 minus 1, modulus of 0 minus 1 is 1. Now 1 minus 0, it is 1, 1 minus 1, minus or minus 1, it is 2. So we get 1 plus 2, 3, 2 plus 1, 3. So P1 equal to, what is the value of P1? P1 is equal to, we write 2 by 3. And P2 we write 1 by 3. So similarly, if we find Q1 and Q2, if player B plays the same game with probability, same game, strategy 1 with probability Q1 and strategy 2 with probability Q2, then what is the value of Q1? It is 1 upon 3, and Q2, that is 2 by 3. These are the strategies for Q1 and Q2. So strategies for optimal strategies for optimal strategies for player B. Player B plays first strategy with probability Q1, that is 1 by 3, second with Q2, 2 by 3, and third and fourth with probability 0. So the sum of P Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 and Q4, that is equal to 1. And optimal strategy for player A is optimal strategies for player A, that is 2 by 3, P1, and P2, that is 1. And you can find the value of the game. So you can 1 by 1 into P1 plus 0 into P2. So value of the game is 1 into P1 plus 0 into P2, that is 1 into not like this, value of the game, that is equal to, you get 1 of it. You can use the formula v, v11 v22 into v22 minus v2 1 into v12 divided by sum of v11 plus v22 minus v12 plus v21. So we get 1 into 1 value of the game, that is 1 plus 0 divided by 1 plus 1 minus 0 minus 1. It is 1 upon 2 plus 1 3. It is 1 upon 3. That is v11 v22 minus v12 into v21 divided by v11 plus v22 minus v12 plus v21. This is value. So in this way you can, so we have two methods, whether you go with directly go with while solving the equations, which two equation we have to solve, जो intersect करके आपको जो minimum, we have to maximize the minimum gain. So जो intersecting point, आपको जो highest point यहाँ पे मिला, right? आपने देखना वो किन दो इक्वेशनों को, किन दो स्ट्रेट लाइन से कट होके वो आपको मैक्सिमम पॉइंट मिला, उन दो इक्वेशनों को इक्वेट करके यू कैन फाइंड द रिलेशन बिटवीन P1 and P2. As we know that P1 plus P2 equal to 1, so we can make the use of P1 plus P2 equal to 1, then we can find P1 and P2. Right? So, or you can go with this. We have discussed this method in the earlier video lecture, so you can also use the same method to find the value of the game and the optimal strategy for player A and optimal strategy for player B. So let us discuss one more example. Solve the game by graphic method. And find the value of the game. So the matrix is player A has two strategies, so player A, and player B have three strategies, 1, 2, and 3, with values 8, 4, -2, -2, -1, and 3. So it is a game of order 2 cross 3. So let player A plays first strategy with probability P1 and second with probability P2. So we have equations, we have these strategies and A is expected value. So we have strategies 1, 2, and 3. So if B plays this game with strategy 1, then A's expected value is 8 into P1 minus 2 into P2. If B plays this game with strategy 2, then A's expected value is 4 into P1 minus P2. Similarly, if B plays this game with strategy 3, then A's expected value is minus 2 P1 plus 3 P2. So now we can make a graph. This is P1. This is P2. This is P1, P2, 0, 0. Now we have first P1, first equation is 8P1. So 8P1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This 8P1 minus 2P2. So this is minus 2P2. So we can make a line 8P1 minus 8P1 minus 2P2. Now second we have 4P1, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 minus P2. So yeah, this is minus. So 2, 3, 4. This is 4 and minus 1 P2. So this is minus 1. Now we can draw a line. Now 4 P1 minus P2. Next is minus 2 P1 minus 2. This is minus 2 and 3 P2. 1, 2, 3. Minus 2 P1 plus 3 P2. Now we have to find, we have to maximize the minimum expected gain. So because this is point A, point B, point C, and point D. So we have a convex region. This is the convex region, and B gives us the maximum value. And B value of B we get from while intersecting two lines. Which are these two lines? These lines are 4P1 minus P2 is equal to minus 2P1 plus 3P2. We equate them. So we find a relation between P1 and P2. So 6P1 is equal to 4P2. So we get P1 is equal to 2 by 3 P2. So this is our first equation. Now we get, we know that P1 plus P2 is equal to 1. So 2 by 3 P1 P2 plus P2 that is equal to 1. So we get 5 P2 equal to 3. So P2 is equal to 3 by 5. If P2 equal to 3 by 5, we get P1 is equal to 1 minus P2, that is 2 by 5. So P1 is equal to 2 by 5. So P1 plus P2, that is equal to 1. Okay. So the optimal strategies for player A are P1 2 by 5, P2 3 by 5. So these are the optimal strategy. That is, out of 5, player A plays this game with strategy 1 around 40%, and player A plays this game with strategy 2 with probability 60%. Now we have to find value of the game. Since we have a matrix, now we have the reduced matrix, right? Now in this we have player B use second and third strategy to play this game. The best strategies for player B are strategy number 2 and 3. So player A have two strategy 1 and 2. Now player B use second and third strategy. Okay. So what are the values? 4 minus 1, 4 minus 1, and minus 2, 3. Minus 2, 3. So we can also find optimal strategy for player A by using this pair matrix, by using this 2 cross 2 game. Now 4 minus minus 1, 4 minus minus 1, we take the modulus, that is 5, so we write 5 here. Minus 2, minus 3, minus 5, we take the modulus and we write 5 here. Now 4 minus minus 2, that is 6, so we write 6 here. 3 minus minus 1, 3 plus 1, 4, so we write 4. So sum is 10 from 5 here, as well as vertical as well as horizontal sum is 10. Okay. So we have written some wrong values. Actually, the matrix is this. So player A use first and second strategy, player B use second and third. So we have 4 minus 2 minus 1, 3. 4 minus 2, 4 minus 2 minus 1, 3. This is a 2 cross 2 game. This is the reduced 2 cross 2 game. So 4 minus of minus 2, this is minus 6. So we take the modulus, so we get 6 here. 3 minus of minus 1, 4. So we write 4. 4 minus of minus 1, 5. We write 5 here. And similarly, we write 5 here. So we get the sum to be 10. Now, this is probability P1. If player A plays strategy 1 with probability P1, strategy 2 with probability P2. Player B plays second strategy with probability curve 1 and third with probability curve 2. So we find P1 equal to 4 by 10. 4 by 10 means 2 by 5. So we get 2 by 5. Similarly, P2 is equal to 6 by 10. 6 by 10 means 3 by 5. So So we get P2 equal to 3. Now Q1 equal to maybe 5 by 10. So 1 upon 2, and similarly Q2 5 upon 10, that is 1 upon 2. Now we have to find the value of the game. So optimal strategy for player A, we have already written. Optimal strategy for player B, for player B is equal to 1 by 2. Sorry, not 1 by 2, because player B don't use first strategy. So he plays this game with first strategy with probability 0. And P2, Q1 is second with Q1, so Q1 equal to 1 by 2, and third with Q2. Even instead of writing Q1, Q2, you can write also Q2, Q3, respective to the second and third segment. You can write Q2, Q3. Q2 plus Q3 equal to 1. Even Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 equal to 1. So it is this. Right? Basically, these are Q1, Q2, Q3. Q1 is 0, Q2 is 1 by 2, Q3 is 1 by 3. Now value of game. Value of the game. Either you can use the formula V equal to V11 into V22 minus V21 into V12 divided by V11 plus V22 minus V21 plus V12, or 4 into P1 minus 1 into P2 plus minus 2 into P1 plus 3 into P2. So that is equal to 4 into P1, 4, 8 by 5 minus 3 by 5 plus minus 4 by 5 and plus 9 by 5. So 9 plus 8, 17, 17 minus 7, 10 by 5, that is 2. So value of Q is 2. So in this way you can find. So this is the question in HPU. And 6th semester examination up to 2021. Now you can try some similar examples. Example 3. Solve the game by using graphical method. Player A plays with strategy 1 and 2. Player B plays this game with strategy 1, 2, and 3. The values are 6, 7, 15, 20, 12, 10. This is the question asked in 2022 examination. You can similarly solve a game of order m cross 2. M cross 2 games like this. You have 2 strategies for player B and more than 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4 strategies for player A. So in this case, let the entries be 2, 4, 2, 3, 3, 2, and minus 1, 6. So now we use the same method to solve this game. But instead of taking P1, P2, we can take Q1 and Q2. Let the player B plays first strategy with probability Q1 and second with probability Q2. Now, instead of writing A's expected gain. Now A's A's strategies are for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now B's expected value. B's expected value. Expected value. That is 2 into Q1, 2 Q1 plus 4 Q2. If player A plays with this game with strategy 2, then B's expected value is 2 Q1 plus 3 Q2. 3 Q1 plus similarly 3 Q1 plus 2 Q2 minus Q1 plus 6 Q2. Now instead of taking P1, P2, you can take Q1, Q2. The distance between Q1 and Q2 to be 1, 0, 0. Now you can plot the lines. For example, if these lines are like this, now you have to minimize the maximum loss. So you have to minimize the maximum loss. Now we have to check from here. We have to minimize the maximum loss. Now, if this gives the minimum value out of, for m cross 2 game, we use, what is the objective? We have to minimize the maximum loss. So we have to find the minimum value of the maximum value. So this, if this gives the minimum value, तो ये कहाँ से आई? इन दो लाइन के इंटरसेक्शन से. तो इस लाइन की और इस लाइन की जो इक्वेशन होगी, we equate these two equation and find the relation between Q1 and Q2, and we know that Q1 plus Q2 equal to 1, then we can find. Or instead of if you have to find the optimal strategy for player B only, then it's okay. If you have to find the value of the game, then again use a 2 cross 2 game, 1, 2, and sorry, no, we don't know the strategy for player A, but we can write strategy for player B only, that is 1, 2. But player A strategies are the intersecting of these two lines. The intersection of these two lines are from second and third strategy, and we can only write second and third strategy. So what are the what can we say about the first and fourth? First and fourth strategies are 0 for player, right? So in this way, you can find the value of the game also. So you try these questions. These questions are very important questions related to examination project. Go through the video lecture. If you have any doubt, you can write your doubt in the comment section. Thank you. Have a nice day.